Okay, I'm gonna hit record here.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so this is Tuesday, 6:30 PM, August 4th, 2020, and we are going to have a Finance Committee meeting. And the agenda is posted, and there are ways to call in if you would like to do that. We welcome all visitors, and we're gonna first do the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. You all got a copy of the minutes?
Yes.
And you didn't like them, so you're not gonna.
I'll move that we approve them.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Tom. Okay. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous vote. I'm gonna give a quick update on, we didn't have a subcommittee meeting, so, this week. They had a lot of stuff on their plate, the selectmen did, so I kinda let them, handle that. I'm gonna give a quick update on the budgets, and then, we'll go right into articles, and then Cindy will do you first, if that's okay with you. Hello, Carol, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Welcome. On the 5 budgets, the town operating budget, Carol, who just joined us, is tasked with a week from Monday turning in, or even before that for their packet, I guess, turning in a budget. If that is available to us by Thursday next week, a week from this Thursday, if that's available to us, we'll discuss it. If not, the final Friday, the 21st, will be our first time to discuss it, and it will also be the last chance we get at it before it goes to print, the warrant goes to print. So we're also having a public hearing on the budget that night. So it may be the first time we discuss it as a group and as a public hearing on it. So, but that's okay. We know a lot about it. We know what's, there's ugly stuff in it. We know that there's going to be some tough decisions we're gonna have to make on that. The Monomoy budget is being voted Thursday. I don't know if we have any advance information on that, but they're gonna vote Thursday. Hopefully we'll be able to take that up right after that. We've already voted the tech budget. We've already voted the water department budget. I was kind of hoping on wastewater and sewer that we could combine that one with water, but I'm hearing now that there's some sort of prohibition to that. Is that correct, Carol?
That is correct.
So if you can give us a thumbnail on that one, we're talking about the budgets right now, and we can't commingle those funds, or?
You could have established a water sewer enterprise fund, one enterprise fund.
Yeah.
That is allowable under Mass General Law. However, with them separate, which is the recommendation also from the Department of Revenue,
Sure.
be separated. The user fees that are generated from the water
Never affected.
can't support the sewer enterprise fund.
Okay. So that pipe dream I had of combining those and using some of those funds goes away, but we'll get to it. That's the smallest of all of our budgets, and hopefully. Does anybody have any questions on the budgets, just general discussion kind of stuff?
Oh, Dana.
Yes, Dan?
My wife told me that the town meeting is September 26th.
Yes,
8/6 or 8?
26.
We've been talking about 28th.
Right, and quick update on the schedule, basically. The selectmen voted to have it outside and to have it Saturday instead of the Monday. So Monday's the 28th, we're backing it up to Saturday, and today we walked through the venue at the high school with the moderator, myself, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, the town administrator, Jamie was there, waving. And town council was there, and representatives from the school was there, and we kind of walked through and toured the kind of flow of what the thing's going to be. It's gonna be at 10 o'clock in the morning, And it's going to be as, you know, we're gonna have to go through it kind of quickly if we can. There's not gonna be a lunch served, and there's gonna be water available, there's gonna be lots of stuff available it's not gonna be our normal, typical kind of meeting, but, other towns have done it. Town council was there, has been through several of them. Mike Ford, our moderator, went through it in Orleans. Orleans planned on over 600 people. They set up chairs for 600 people and had 480 or so show up. They had a full town meeting. They did all of their articles. They did it, finished everything by 1:30. They started at 10 o'clock. We did, they had Sunday at 1 o'clock, the rain date, or weather date, as a backup. Didn't need it. They had people who wore hats and umbrellas, and people got used to waving their umbrellas when they wanted to be heard. They had people that brought around microphones for people. They had about 10 or so, 8 to 10 wireless mics that a crew of people were responsible for taking it to someone, so the people didn't have to get up and go to a microphone. Someone would bring it to them, and then they would wipe it down and bring it to the next person and so forth. So they successfully got through an entire warrant. So his discussion with us was real
Yeah,
good that way.
We had 960 people at our graduation Sunday, Upper Cape Tech.
Yeah,
No issues, every family group was dispersed, all spread out. The students were 6 foot apart. It worked out well.
so that's the calendar change. For us, it doesn't make any difference because our deadline for getting as much done as we can for the warrant printing doesn't change. And just finding a way to have a meeting prior to that will usually the finance committee meets prior to the meeting starting to iron out any last minute kind of differences or changes. But we'll figure that out. There's still a lot of logistics to go, but there we are. Any other questions on the budgets? Okay, we're gonna go to the warrant. I handed out a new line item, one-liner for you. We're at 44 articles. The ones that we talked about last meeting went out, disappeared. A couple new ones came in, including, you'll see a new Article 4, which is article to use the Stabilization Fund. We'll talk about that one a little bit later. First, though, we have a guest, so we will try to accommodate our guest. And this is Cindy Williams. She's the director of the Chamber of Commerce in Harwich. We have an article, Promote the Town, and it's the top one on the second page. It's Article 39 on my list. For $30,000, the Finance Committee has already voted to accept and adopt this Article 7-0, unanimous vote, with free cash as the funding option, but Cindy wanted to chime in on that, and the floor is yours, Cindy.
Thank you. I just wanted to come tonight and say thank you for the continued support of what the Harwich Chamber does. We've really strengthened the partnership over the last number of years with the town and each of the different departments, and truly are grateful for that continued support that you all give us. This has been a challenging few months, as we all know, and we've really ramped up the promoting of Harwich. We've looked at some other locations to distribute the Harwich magazine. This year, we're back down in Mystic, Connecticut, and we've heard from a number of people down there that I have relationships with that are seeing that flying out of the visitor center down there. So those people hopefully will someday be able to come and visit here and enjoy all that we have. So just some new things that we're doing is ramping up the website even more to keep people and our businesses educated and updated, but also radio is a big thing for us, promoting the businesses and helping them and the town just get everything out about us. So thank you again for the unanimous vote of support. We truly appreciate it. So I wanted to thank you all tonight.
Any questions from anyone for Cindy while she's here? John?
Just a quick question, Cindy, how, can you compare numbers to last year's numbers as far as inquiries, or is this just too difficult of a?
This is a very strange year, John, but I can tell you, this year where the building, I can't welcome anyone in. I can be open, and I'm open 7 days a week at the visitor center and the chamber. We've done since June 1st almost 600 welcome bags, and what I did was took information from our businesses, our Harwich Conservation Trust walking guides and the magazine, as well as other things that the local businesses have given us, and are distributing that to the visitors. So that's huge. That's just since June 1st. So it's definitely busy. The phones are crazy. You know, it's a different year, but we're definitely seeing the traffic for sure. It's down, but we're definitely seeing it for sure.
Can you tell the group about the 2 hours, little, I mean, this is the Finance Committee, and we have the Director of Finance here. You had a couple of hours, was it Sunday, where you sold some stickers? What was that?
So we're open 7 days a week with the beach stickers, 10 a.m. to 2 on Sundays. From 10 until about 11:45, we did $1,600 in beach sticker sales. I had a line. We haven't had a line all year. It was crazy. So Sunday was our big winner for the season with the beach stickers. So I'm happy to continue. We're just the only one open now 7 days a week, and we're selling just the summer visitor stickers. And I'll say a lot of people are buying the season stickers this year. So $153 a pop, and that's the big ticket one this year.
So, pretty good news, I thought, for a 2 hour span. Thank you, Cindy.
Can I ask one more question, Dana?
Certainly.
To follow up a little bit on the revenue stream there, Cindy, any indication from the inns or the bed and breakfasts or anything like that? Because we derive,
yes.
as you know, a lot of meal taxes, room taxes.
It's definitely it's going to be challenging this year, and I have spoken with Carol on this earlier through this, and the inns and hotels are down. They're probably at 25%. And this new travel order is going to really throw a curve at everybody. I was on the phone all weekend with the hotels trying to walk them through that whole thing. Because now, and then I just saw recently tonight, Rhode Island now is not on the low risk states any longer. So, you know, I have to say during that 2 hour span on Sunday, mainly everyone was from Massachusetts. So they're doing that drive down trip, but the inns are down for sure. The restaurants are challenged, but they're all recreating themselves and doing what they can. So they're looking forward to the end of the year quickly. I think they're trying real hard, but it'll be a little challenging this year.
Well, you said 25%. Was it that they're down?
So instead of being at 50%, they're at 25% this year.
Capacity, you mean, or down 25?
No, at capacity, like 20. So instead of having a sold out situation, they're at 25%.
Wow, that is that's a big number.
So
Okay,
all the
thank you, Cindy.
citizens of Harwich should go rent a room locally. No.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, they're all trying, but then now once this August 1st thing hit, they were all like ramped up and they were kicking it and everything. And then all of a sudden, August 1st came, that new travel order, and some of them are having a challenge.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, we'll keep going at it though, but thank you all so very much for the support.
Okay.
Thanks, Cindy.
You're welcome.
Bye.
I'd love to stay and join you, but I've got to get some new ideas to how to market Harwich.
All right, good night.
Tell those-
Good night, all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that's a big number, 25%.
Yeah. It's a big challenge, right?
Yeah, big revenue number. Yeah.
And what was their total last year? It seems to me it's not as big a number as like, say, disposal fees or anything like that, but it's still I don't mean to put you on the spot, but.
No, it's okay, I have it right here to answer your
Wow.
question. Hotel came in at $905,000, that includes short-term rental, $905,400. We didn't budget any short-term rentals, so we budgeted $680,000, so we were well over, FY '20.
Right,
We have reduced that number since then for '21 in
this
our
year,
estimated revenues.
okay. So that gets to, you know, how do we make the numbers work? And we'll be talking more about that, like I said, in the very near future. Hopefully, we can have some sort of position between now and when we go to print, but if not, we'll still gonna have a public hearing and still get input from people on what's out there, so.
Okay, Carol, what was it, what'd you say the actuals were for?
$905,400.
$905,000, okay.
All right, so, one of the articles was just added to the warrant. If you look at my list, it's number 4. It's an article to use the stabilization fund. As we have said all along, this came out of this subcommittee and out of this group, really. We just wanted the tool in the toolbox to be able to use. No one is yet recommending that we use it. And what I would do is suggest that we, right now, just have a motion of no recommendation pending further information. And if you've seen the language that we have with that in past years for new people, that's a motion that we make that says that we just didn't have enough information at the time the warrant went to print in order to make a decision on this. And we certainly aren't going to by then. This is going to be towards the end as we really get negotiating with what to do with the shortfalls. So it's decisions we're gonna make later, so to get that out of the way, we were very clear on our explanation on these, as to, that doesn't mean we're for it or against it, it just means we have not enough information. So I would look for that kind of motion for this one for tonight.
I would make that motion.
Tom makes the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so
Pending
it's
further information, yes.
Tom, and then Dan. All right, no recommendation pending further information. All right, discussion on that motion? Kind of know where we're going, right? Yeah, John?
I could, do we need to vote on it? Why don't we just hold it and pass it? Why we can vote? I mean, if we vote on it, then we're gonna have to reconsider.
Right,
Right.
and that's generally how we
Either way,
handle
it's the
it.
same thing,
Right,
yeah.
right. And it gives, instead of just a blank stare at the warrant when it's printed,
It gives us
says-
something, yeah.
we just weren't in a position to be able to do this one.
It just gives us the say that, okay, we need more information before we can make an intelligent decision one way or the other, so we're
Right.
just waiting on information.
Which
But we
is a
could
little-
say, just hold it too, but I understand what you're saying, yeah. Okay.
All right.
It-
There's ones
Yep.
we held last week that we'll still continue to juggle until we get to that point. But when it comes time to print the warrant, anything that we haven't got a position on, we're
Yeah.
gonna have that
And that is what date? That's
the 21st of August,
August. And,
which is what,
Rapidly
17 days from now.
24th. Well, but our last meeting, though, is the.
Right, our last meeting is the 21st,
21st.
Friday, the 21st. And we have
Okay.
two
Okay,
public hearings that night, one on the budget, one on the capital plan. The notices of those have already gone to the newspaper for print, to give us the 2-week warning that we need to give.
yep.
So, the gears are already rolling, and you can see on the calendar at some point I have to publish a capital plan.
And that one will probably go down to the wire.
Yeah, that one will go the
Okay,
way
I
too.
understand.
All right,
Yep.
so that's the motion. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have 6 here tonight. 3, 4, 5, 6, so it's 6-0. We'll continue to hold the budgets as we've already discussed. And then, we don't have a capital plan. We have the items now from free cash less than 50K. If anybody wants to, I can read what those are. Carol, would you be able to, I'm hearing conflicting things today on free cash. The last year, if we were going to have the meeting in May, the free cash was at 1.4 million, somewhere in there. And we would have used that for the town meeting in May. Where are we now? Does the closing of the books at the end of June freeze that money and roll it into next year? Or there's some special provision on free cash that allows that 1.4 million to stand in some way?
So there is a provision to allow the $1.4 million to come before you again. I was required to submit some documentation to the Department of Revenue before June 30th to allow that to roll over, which of course I did. And then if we fully expect free cash to be certified before your annual town meeting, so that would actually, if that happens, which we anticipate that it will, that would roll into that older balance would roll into the new free cash balance.
So, I remember early on, in one discussion, there was a $2 million number thrown around, but it's not 1.4 plus $2 million, it would be.
It would be, so I think there was a lot of pressure that day to give you a number. And, you know, I won't have
And
one.
everybody insisted they would not hold you to that number, and
Right,
we
they
will
did.
not.
They
I
did.
just wanted to see if that number, are both numbers different, separate numbers? Whatever this year's is and whatever that 1.4 is.
So when free cash will be set, it will include the 1.4. So the $2 million that I quoted as a draft, a very early draft,
Understood completely.
would be more like 3.4 for free cash that would get certified.
Okay, so that's
So
interesting.
Carol says,
We all did that night,
I
too.
fully
yes.
expect that it's going to be higher than that.
Very
be
conservative.
better. Okay.
So, and the reason I bring that up is because we've already taken some votes on free cash. And we're at the $331,000 mark. And this article, which proposes tasers and air packs, I don't know if the grant has come in. Do we know if they have that grant available on the air tanks?
We received information from the fire department this afternoon that, and I don't have it with
What
me.
a timely
that
question.
I believe that
almost
the
like-
only thing that the town's match would be is somewhere just under $30,000.
Yeah, we have a,
It's good.
we have a number here of 14,910, and then a number of 20,000 for the air pack portion. Is it higher than that? Probably, but,
So I think that I believe that the grant information is changed now, and I
Okay.
think the total grant's somewhere around $600,000. I think that it's been expanded. So I believe that there's a match that is according to that. And here in the document that you have, that match would be $20,000. I think that match is increased to somewhere just under 30.
okay, so we should probably continue to hold this one and hear from them. It's good news, so we might want to have them in to actually hear from them and go over that good news. The next article I have a conflict with, but if the board wants to discuss it, I can leave the room. But it's my understanding that, I had to watch the tape just to make the minutes, that you want to have some, maybe Sean or some of the department head in, or somebody who would walk you through some of these. Should I invite someone to a future meeting like Sean, who's the facilities manager?
It would be good for me.
Would that solve the problem or allow you to get the information you need, or do you need more than that? Do you need department heads in each case? Cemetery, library, or the actual guy in charge of the building? Is that, okay, Sean, the facilities manager? I'm just trying to get a feel
Yeah.
for.
I think I understood we held it because of, I want couple of the big ones, 143,000 relies on grants. So I would like to know where we sit with the grants for that one. And then 350 is ADA compliance. The other ones I think are, and the cultural center, that was, it's instead of a study, it's a subsidy there.
So, let me suggest that I'll get Sean here at a very near meeting,
Yeah.
and he may be able to answer your questions sufficiently, and if not, we'll then, for the ones that you have left, go to the department head. Is that correct? Way to do it? Does that help you?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Consensus? All right. So it's still held for now. We've already voted the next couple, I think. No. The ambulance and the fire truck are still on hold. I'm hearing now that there might not be a ballot. Okay, so normally we would have a town meeting in May, and then 2 weeks after that, we would have the ballot question for anything going outside of Proposition 2.5, to vote those. And we were set for, I want to say, October 7th or something like that for a ballot this year after the town meeting. But at this point, the selectmen are thinking that they're not going to have a ballot. I don't know what implications that has on both of the questions that were considered for that, but we'll have to wait to hear what they think that is. Might not be the same as what we think that is, but it's what they think that is.
That's the question.
Yes.
Is the ambulance being funded out of free cash?
The ambulance was proposed to be funded out of free cash.
And the quint was the debt, that's the ballot, one of the ballot questions?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll wait to hear. And even on the ambulance, we want to get the bid number.
Yes,
so.
oh, yes, yeah, yep.
That would be an example of one that we can hold until, if we happen to have a bid number prior to going to print, we'll vote it. If we don't, then that would be one we'd put no recommendation pending further information, so,
Well, do they get a new ambulance every year, though, right?
every other year.
Every other year?
6 ambulances, 6 years on each ambulance, so, I mean, it goes every other year. They're running more ambulances now than they used to, but they're still on the every other year plan. It was something that was worked out in the 1990s, and it's been
But we have
rolling
4
along ever
ambulances,
since.
right, though, or 6? Did you say?
4,
4,
yeah.
yeah, okay.
And we replace one every
6
other
years,
year.
okay.
So they go quite a while before their, the ambulance that we trade in at each point is fairly old.
Mhm.
A new article for us is Article 16, PEG fund request, or PEG fund request. This is to see if the town vote to raise an appropriate transfer from available funds, borrow sum of money required to fund the management and upgrade of equipment at the TV studio located at Monomoy Regional High School.
Yeah, see that?
$119,307.50, which we would round up to $708, I would think, rather than 50 cents. The explanation is to be funded by the cable-related fund established at the annual town meeting 2016, Article 36, expendable by a vote of the legislative body. The cost is proposed to split 50-50 between the town of Chatham and the town of Harwich. Total projected cost is $238,615, of which our portion will be $119. So that wasn't in our package the last time, but it's been added for this time. So basically, the 2 articles that we did vote where we use cable funds to upgrade here in the town, the schools are looking to do the same thing. They're also into broadcasting their meetings and all of that stuff, and they use, the town gets 2 government channels, and they use one and we use one, so this would be the same kind of deal for them. If anybody wants to make a motion.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How much money do we have in that?
PEG.
We don't go after it very often, so it's probably quite a bit, I would guess, but
I remember seeing it.
Carol knows.
It's in the big blue book, too, Karen. You know that.
I mean, my
The big
question is,
blue
can we just cover the 119 with what's there?
Our half, you mean?
Yeah, that's all we were asked to do in this article.
But do we have it?
So do we have it is what my question is.
Do you know the answer, Jamie?
I don't know the exact amount, that's the
Okay.
health department, but.
Yeah,
I did
The high
see it,
side.
though. I
she did give the high sign, yes.
$1,435,265 as of the end of June.
Okay.
So moved,
Yeah, I think we can
So is that a
afford
motion?
so moved.
Motion from Brian,
I'll second it.
second
Yeah,
from
there we go.
Tom.
I knew I had it there, yeah.
That's to accept and adopt and use the funds.
So that's from the PEG account.
And it was $119,308. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's 6-0. And we'll move along. I think that's new numbers coming out on Round Cove Boat Ramp. Is that correct? Do you have those, or?
Those are in the article that you received this evening.
Okay, so I might not have updated mine. So let me see if I got it here.
Do mine.
Yeah, that's,
That's number
that's,
20.
that jumped, that number jumped up from last week from 23,000 to 106,000.
Okay, so $106,357. The existing public boat ramp at Round Cove Landing is poorly constructed and in very poor condition. Every year, several boater trailers get hung up on it, the leading edge of the ramp, because it's too short and not properly pitched. This caused significant damage to trailers. The annual town meeting of 17 authorized a transfer of $177,070. From prior articles, however, this total cost is estimated to be around $200,000. So that was the original explanation, but apparently the cost of redoing it is up higher.
A lot
So
higher.
now it's 106, and this would come from free cash. No,
No, it would come
Waterway
from
funds.
the receipts reserved for appropriation for waterways.
yeah, okay. So this is the water fund that they have. And as Angela has always said, we should be using that money for that. So here's your chance.
That's right.
Is that, are you making a motion?
Correct.
Hey, I'll second that. as well.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
See how we do this? And if you can see on my one-liners, I did have the right number in there, 106,357. How's that? I don't know, I don't even.
Don't hurt the taxpayers.
That's right.
So we have a motion and a second, and that would be from waterway funds. Any other discussion? John has a question.
Those waterways funds, Carol, those are those special revenue funds, right?
Those are, yes, they're categorized as receipts reserved for appropriation.
Right.
So they take a town meeting vote to appropriate that money to be used for that purpose.
And there's two of them. There's an improvement fund and a moorings receipt fund. And I'm looking at the totals in the big blue book here. And they're about $725,000 for the both of them. And then I'm looking at, you're using almost 400,000 or 350,000 to balance the harbor's operating budget.
I'm sorry?
You're using about 357,000 from the special reserve funds to balance the harbors.
Yeah.
No.
No. Yeah, they're not using anything to balance harbor. I'm not sure exactly what your question is,
Well, I see in the source of funding for the
but
harbors.
I don't, I'm sorry, I don't,
uh,
I don't know what, are you looking at the original budget that was prepared?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the.
So we received a legal opinion after that was prepared. The harbor was taking all of the snack shack money, some of the artisan rentals and some other fees, and placing it, like any increases in the harbor revenue from rates that they increase, and putting it in the waterway fund. And so, you know, I seem to question everything now, right? So I brought it to legal counsel and I said, can they do this? And they said, no. So what we did for FY '20 is we transferred all the money back and we put it in their revenue, and their revenues went through the roof in the operating budget. So as I had said in March, that would all have to be revised, because they would not be, they were supposed to be supporting debt with that, but the way they were supporting it was not allowed.
Okay.
So this way would be allowed,
Yes,
and the funds are there to do this,
yes.
an appropriate amount
So
of
the
funds.
the newly revised operating budget doesn't have any of those transfers.
So I'm assuming
Ed.
that, I'm sorry,
Go ahead, Ryan.
I was just gonna, I'm assuming that this dramatic increase came because they have a hard cost bid on this work?
Yeah, that's.
So that's a
his
hard
new
cost bid
yeah,
on it in writing for 106.
Plus the previous year of 177. No, I'm just trying to see where it's being funded from, and it's being funded from those special reserve funds,
Correct.
the 106. Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous vote. We have heard from CPC, and we'll go through the numbers. They are correct now. The funding is there with CPC, so this basically will come down to a matter of whether you support what they're trying to do with the funds or not. I'll try to, I have those articles, I just printed them out. And, here we go. So the first one is their general disbursements. They get money in and they have to put, yes,
Before we get to a discussion on the CPC funds, I need some guidance again because of Chase Library. The articles under $50,000, there's a grant in there for Chase Library for restoration of the front door.
if we get, yeah, and that one, you can step out on that one.
Okay, all right.
That's no
I just want
problem.
to know whether I could vote on it or I have to step
Yeah,
out.
I thought we approved that.
we didn't approve any of the CPC ones.
Right, yeah.
Right,
But
so,
we did, we approved the 10,000.
Pardon me?
We approved the 10,000 for the Chase Library.
that was.
That
a
was
different
Article-
I think it's 14,000.
That was Article 38.
Oh, no, that was for their operating budget. This is a grant from the CPC funds to
Yeah.
restore their front door.
Oh, okay, two separate things.
You'll see, yeah.
Okay,
We'll get to that one.
okay.
This is, the first one is Article 26 on the book, and that is to disperse the funds. You have it as Article 27. And to be clear, all the numbers are kind of jumbling around, and towards the, you saw that I'd written up reasons. I'll talk about those at the end as examples, and those numbers might have to be fixed when I actually send them to, once they get the actual numbers of the warrant fixed. There's still a couple that might change. So, as Carol gave them to me just before the meeting started, I have a copy of each article. She has it as number 27, which is what it is in the warrant right now, but the warrant has two number 4s, so something's gonna have to give there. So we think it's gonna be changing of a number by 1. But I have it on my sheet as number 26, and this is to put the money that they have into the proper bucket. So it's 177,600 going into Community Housing Reserve, 177,600 going into Open Space Reserve, 177,600 going to Historic Preservation Reserve, and undesignated fund balance for operating expenses, $50,000, for a total of $582,800. Is there a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to accept and adopt.
using CPC funds.
Yes.
Second.
Discussion? This is a every year article.
Just to clarify, do we know what the 4 buckets are used for? I know it says community housing reserve, but we don't know what that means, right? Is it the discretion of the community housing department to what they use it for, the open
No,
space?
the CPC fund
Yeah,
has those 3 jobs they have to do,
yeah.
and they also have to, a recreation bucket, correct, or, yeah.
Yeah, they have 4, but what are we getting for 100, like in the community housing reserve? What's the town getting
It's
for 100?
just going into the reserve, it's just,
It's
it's
just the
not being
reserve.
used yet,
Yeah.
but it has to go into a bucket
Okay. And then who determines what that reserve is used for?
on future town meeting.
Future town meetings, okay.
In fact, in this town meeting, the motions will be to use some from, they'll be specific as to which bucket they're coming out of.
Okay. Okay.
But this puts the money into it to begin with. And they
Okay, so-
also pay the land bank fund and
So like the next one coming up, the land bank fund, the money for that's coming out of this reserve.
actually, that one's just a straight shot, right, the land bank one? But we'll get to that one in just a
Okay.
moment. Dan,
I just want to see where the money's, what it's being.
Being
this
an
is
alumnus-
putting it into buckets.
Being an alumnus of the CPC, those 4 categories that the CP Act funds,
Yeah,
monies are received from the state, and then percentages have to go into those 4
10%.
categories as separate funds.
Mm-hmm.
And then as applications come in for recreation, one of the 4 categories, then the CPC, if they approve it, they will initially fund that application out of the designated fund, and then if they need more money to fund that particular application, they'll go to undesignated fund balance.
and that's where those other warrants come in the back of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
So the reserves are depleted, or I guess they're really not depleted.
It's a statutory requirement
could
that they
be, yeah.
have to set those monies into
Yeah.
an account, into
Okay.
those 4 accounts.
and that's what this article does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But those
it's in
monies
our,
come
it's
from
in
the
our best interest
taxpayers.
to vote it.
That money comes from taxpayers, not the
Yeah.
state.
No, this is
No.
the 3% surcharge
Yeah.
on your total tax bill.
Right, from the taxpayers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of that money does come from the state.
Right, there
Yeah.
is,
They
there is,
receive state revenue, they also receive investment revenue, so it's not just the 3% surcharge.
yeah. And
But I
there
know
used
the
to be a
state-
bigger match than there is today.
Yes.
What is, it? Do we know what the match is?
Well, FY '20, it was much larger than it had been in prior years. State funds in FY '20 were $400,087,
Okay.
where typically they were around $200,000.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Need a second.
Aye.
I don't think we had a second.
Angelo seconded.
Oh, did he? I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's all right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Everybody is an aye? 6-0. Okay, land bank debt service, this is paying for the land bank, and it's down compared to what it has been, it goes down every year. In 2024, it goes to 0.
Yep.
We'll finally have that paid off,
Okay.
and then we'll discuss whether we want to do anything with the percentage after that, I would think. But at this point, Article 27 on my list, Article 28 on the actual sheets, $341,750 to pay the land bank fund.
I make a motion that we approve $341,750 to fund the land bank from CPC funds.
I'll second that.
Discussion on that one? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's 6-0. The next one is an article that you want to step out on, Dan.
There we go, there's the door.
And these are, they have a bucket for under $50,000 items. Historic areas and property inventory, 34,500. Preservation of original door and entrance to the Chase Library, 15,000. Lower Cape Housing Institute Community Development Partnership, 7,500. Town-owned conservation land, restoration, rehabilitation of conservation lands, 20,000. Pleasant Bay Community Boating Handicap Accessible Ramp, 25,000, for a total of $102,000. We can take these individually, or we can vote the entire article. Or discuss them individually, but we have to vote.
Can I just ask you to repeat what you said about the dock?
Dock.
The-
Pleasant Bay Community Boating Handicap Accessible Dock Project, 25,000. This is an estimated revenue. One of the problems I've always had with CPC is we do not get bids on theirs. They just estimate it and bring it forward.
Okay.
I can speak to that a little bit, Angela, if you'd like.
I just wanted to know whether it's, Pleasant Bay is in a couple of towns. I assume it's part of Harwich.
Yes, that's,
That's
from
all
from what I
that's all I
understand, that's the
wanted to know.
Harwich portion that Chatham has voted for this already, and it's equal amounts, whatever the 20, so I think Chatham's portion is 25%.
Sort of like the bridge, 50/50.
Okay.
It's just to make, they have a long ramp there, it's just to make it handicap accessible. I think Brewster's kicking in some money, and maybe even Orleans, too.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve this article, is it 29, is it?
28?
28 CP articles for under $50,000, but it totals, it says under 50, but the total expenditure is $102,000 for 5 articles.
Five
from-
projects within.
5 projects from CPC funds.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And I will note on this one in the minutes that, when I send you this, that Dan left the room. Discussion, further discussion? It used to be that we would have all these as separate articles, and at one point, I think we asked the CPC if there was a way they could consolidate some of these, so we wouldn't have to sit through 5 articles extra on top of everything else. So they have one that totals 102. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's 5-0.
There's got to be some door.
It's the whole entrance.
Oh, the whole
Yep.
frame around it and everything, yeah.
Thank you, Carol. All right. This gets close to an area where I work, so I'm gonna step down on this one.
I've got it, Dan, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, Article 29 is another request for CPC funds for the Pine Grove Cemetery gravestone conservation and preservation. To see if the town will appropriate $75,000 from the Community Preservation Act for repair, restoration of gravestones, monuments at Pine Grove Cemetery. Any funds left unspent from this article will return to the Community Preservations Fund. And it's requested by the cemetery commissioner, cemetery administrator, $75,000. Do I have a second? Or for, motion?
I'll make a motion to accept and adopt.
Okay. Motion
I'll
made by
second it.
Dan. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brian. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5 to 0.
Did you track the motion in second?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
Dan
good.
made,
Okay.
Dan made the motion. Brian seconded, and it passed 5-0.
And it was to accept and adopt?
Yeah, yes, it was, yeah,
Okay.
5-0.
All right. Article 30 on my list, Article 31 in the book. Harwich Affordable Housing Trust, see if the town vote to appropriate from the Community Preservation Act funds estimated revenue, $250,000 to fund the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust to create and preserve affordable housing in the town of Harwich, the amount of $200,000, and to fund a part-time housing coordinator in the amount of $50,000. Any funds left unspent, this article would go back to the fund.
I'll
Make a motion
There-
that we accept this article from the, at 250,000 for the Affordable Housing Trust.
Second.
That was Dan or Brian?
Brian.
Are there any prohibitions in the language that says they can hire people or can't hire people, or this is an acceptable use to hire a coordinator?
They can only use a certain percentage of their budget to hire a coordinator, and I don't have the general law in front of me, so I can't quote the percentage.
That's okay.
But they are restricted, or for administrative cost, I should.
Right. And that would, and we've already voted 50,000 for administrative costs earlier, right? That's what, on that first disbursement into buckets, was that to go?
That is administration for CPC.
Right,
This is administration for the Affordable Housing Trust.
okay,
So there are two separate, so what happens is they enter into a grant agreement with the Affordable Housing Trust or any of these vendors that are outside vendors. And that grant agreement says, mostly it says that the money will be transferred within 30 days of signing of the agreement. The treasurer collector is responsible for managing the funds of the Affordable Housing Trust, so the money is transferred at that point in time, and then it's just expended directly out of the trust for the administrator, or for the,
coordinator.
yes, coordinator, and then other costs that may come forward.
Now, is this something that goes on every year? I don't remember doing this in the past. This is a new thing.
This started in FY '19
Yeah.
and continued in FY '20. So the articles were worded somewhat the same. The $50,000, I believe, is higher than it has been in the past. I think it's been $30,000 in the past. So I don't have the knowledge of why it had increased that significantly.
Okay, I know I'm gonna vote against it because of that, but, it's up to you as to how you vote. If for some reason we all voted that way, or enough of us so it didn't pass, we could bring them before us and have them discuss it. But, I know that, later we're gonna be talking with the selectmen and more about the revolving funds and using personnel there and so forth, and, it just strikes me the wrong way unless we have a good explanation, but we don't have that tonight. We have a motion to accept and adopt. Further discussion? Questions?
I would propose that someone who can speak to that particular housing trust office come and speak to us and explain what it's all about. Because this program is patterned after other towns who
Yeah.
have this kind of an arrangement.
If everybody throws in 50,000, that's quite a sum of money. Maybe it's a job we should look for.
Well, no, they have their own, they don't have their own trust. This is Harwich.
Right, but it's a coordinator for something. Maybe we should get some more information.
Yeah, I agree.
We have a motion right now. Do we want to withdraw that and hold this one, or do we want to vote this?
I'd rather vote it down.
What'd you say, Tom?
I'd
Well, we
rather
don't,
vote it down.
you don't know how the others are gonna vote, so. All right, we have a motion to accept and adopt. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 It's two. All those opposed, say aye. Aye. Motion does not carry 2 to 4, which means that the article is indefinitely postponed. So I will bring the proper authority in to get an explanation, and then maybe that's all it takes to straighten it out, but I would like to hear that explanation. And
Can I ask Carol a question? Or do we share the coordinator with another town, Carol?
Not that I'm aware of, but the person, it works as a contracted service, so they
could be
may
the-
work in other communities as well.
It seems to me like, okay.
All
Not a
right.
direct sharing, but it could be an indirect sharing. Okay.
We'll move on. Rental assistance program. There's another ongoing one, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate sufficient sums of money, total of $200,000, for, rental assistance program, families earning 80% or less than the average median income qualify for this, so there's stringent qualifications, and this is something we've been doing for a while.
I'll make a motion that we accept this.
I'll second it.
Brian motioned it, and a fight for the second. Okay, now it's to accept and adopt $200,000 CPC funds. Further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 6-0. White House Field lighting. Why am I getting deja vu on this one? Is this?
Yeah, I can tell you where the deja vu is.
All right, let's give it a shot here. This is to raise and appropriate a sufficient sum of money, $380,360, to give White House Field a comprehensive lighting system. Any funds left over will be returned. Is there a motion on this one? Do we want to get some background information before we kind of get into motions?
Didn't we vote this last year?
John knows. John, we're gonna let John give a shot, and then maybe
Okay,
Carol can add more.
I've got some information, and Carol, you can correct me if I'm wrong or misspeak.
She will, don't worry.
That's good. There's kind of two things here. The first one is that I believe roughly 350,000 maybe was approved over 2 years ago for Brooks Park lighting system, to replace the lights at Brook Park. And that has not moved forward one bit to my knowledge, other than some engineering funds being requested recently for it. So is that 350 that's for Brooks Park, or, I mean, it's probably in your unused article fund. Well, it's close to 350, maybe 320. That's been over 2 years now, that money's been approved at town meeting to put those lights in, and nothing has been done on those lights.
If I may, there was also, we talked about the lighting at White House Field.
Well, that's the second part of this.
Right,
Lighting.
okay.
Those Brooks Park lights were being managed by the Recreation Commission. The lights at at White House Field was an emergency fund transfer that we had requested in maybe April of last year,
So they could play the
so
season.
that they could do some emergency repairs for like 3 weeks before the baseball season was going to open up. And it was a Band-Aid approach to come back to get new lighting. And so my concern is if they haven't done the Brooks Park yet in over 2 years, what leads me to believe that they'll be able to get Brooks Park done and the White House Field done in a timely manner? Because we all know what happens when things aren't done in a timely manner. We see it, we just saw it with Round Cove, the ramp there. Requested monies to be done, and that Round Cove was close to 2 years, I think, in the making. And they've come back for more money. So I would like, and we've talked about this in the past, for firm bids on projects that come before us.
You don't
So-
get that from CPC.
Yeah.
Carol, and then Dan. Anything on this? Do you know any more?
I think that perhaps either Recreation or CPC
Should come
could
in.
provide more information
Yeah.
to you. My understanding is that there's a pretty stiff poke by the Mariners, maybe, is that or is that who
Yeah.
plays there?
Yeah.
Yes, and they're putting some pressure on to have those lights upgraded, so I think that was, but I could be corrected because I might be wrong. But I think that you need to, I think you should solicit information outside
Yeah.
myself.
Dan?
Yeah, I was gonna say that when I was on CPC, during the course of the year, we would go back and see what projects had been approved in the past and have the grantee come in and provide a progress report. So I'd be interested to know whether CPC's received any progress reports on the Brooks Park lighting.
Yeah, no, it's been I've been following it closely because I play pickleball over there. We all like the
It all
term
go-
pickleball,
it
right?
all goes
You
back to
know?
pickleball.
You know?
Okay,
And
so
those
we have,
lights-
we have a motion. Maybe again, if it gets voted down, then that gets somebody's attention if we support it. Yeah, we have a motion to, oh, wait, did we?
No,
We didn't on this
No,
one.
we just
Okay,
said,
oh, I'm
I
sorry.
just provided some background.
Should we just hold it then?
Yeah.
And bring them in?
Yeah.
Bring 'em in.
More
Okay,
information.
so that one's, okay. We have Brooks Park fencing project.
So I have a
This is-
question on this.
Yes.
Okay, so last year during the the tornado, that fence was significantly damaged. And I was curious as to whether or not the state reimbursed, or there was any insurance at all that reimbursed for some of that extensive damage to the fencing over at Brooks Park.
We did receive some, I don't recall if it was specific to Brooks Park. We did receive some assistance from the insurance carrier. They actually made a lot of, or hired subcontractors to have the work completed. And so the town didn't oversee a lot of that work. I'm not familiar with the fencing, I apologize, but I can find that out for you.
To the best of my knowledge, it appears they just did very rugged repairs and didn't really make the kind of repairs an insurance company would ask you to make. So I'm curious as to whether or not the town collected the funds, that the funds are sitting there, but this happens to be one that I see all the time, and I don't play pickleball.
It's a good sport.
But I know, I saw how badly damaged it was and how ragged the repair was. So I am very curious as to this fencing project and what funds may have already been received for repair that really didn't get done.
The only guess I have, and I don't have firsthand knowledge on this one, is that this may have something to do with safety, and because the fence that there has injured people in terms of the top of it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Even though they have covers and stuff, people have still gotten injured there,
No doubt.
and this might be an attempt to fix that. But we can hold this one as well if you
I'd
want.
really like to hear more about
Bring,
this.
bring,
It's the same group, it's the Harwich Recreation and Youth
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
I'm guessing this is probably for a total replacement of that fence, 72,000.
I would guess, I would hope so for that kind of money.
Yeah,
but,
that's what I mean, yeah.
Okay, and the last one is the Harwich Community Playground Project. See if town vote to use $500,000 to construct a playground at Harwich Elementary School. Last I heard, the original estimate on this was $1 million or something. Is this some sort of matching something or anything?
No.
Do you know anything about
I think
this?
the
or
scale
this
of
is
the
just
project was
Scale of
reduced.
project
Yes.
was
Yeah, I think
reduced.
the scale, I mean, I live right across the street. I think the scale of the project was reduced.
My own, we can vote it, not vote it, bring in for more information. My problem with it was sorting out, the original request came from the schools, I think, and this is actually
Right.
town property. My questions would have more, once it's built, as to the management of it, but I suppose that comes into a policy question with the Board of Selectmen, but I would certainly want to know the answers to those questions prior to supporting this article. Right now, at the moment, I do not support it, but we should maybe bring some people in on this one as well. It's up to you, but if anybody wants to make a motion, you can do that too.
I would like to have more, because the last time, the last playground was just left to rot. There was no maintenance done whatsoever, and it just fell apart, basically.
Yeah, there was a couple fix-up things along the way, but over,
it's a Band-Aid
20-year
fixes, so it's like, if
span,
you're gonna build something for
25 years.
$500,000, there's had to be some kind of form to maintain this thing, to
All right.
keep it going, otherwise, why build it at all?
So we'll hold this one, Angelo.
You'll find out if the schools are going to contribute anything
Yeah,
from their
yeah.
funds.
All good questions.
Because I think the schools, I think we're going to contribute, and then there was a parent-teachers group too that were doing fundraisers to contribute some of that. Because this project did start out at over $1.2 million. I mean, it was very comprehensive. It was more than playgrounds. It was basketball courts, baseball courts, or fields. And I'd like to see if the parents are in agreement
Yeah.
with what's, because that's the lowest number I've seen is 500,000 in this,
But there was also discussions as to
to scale it back.
who owned the land and,
Right,
and
yeah.
where the line was and who was gonna, there was discussion by one group about whether or not they would be permitted to use it during the day because, well, the kids would have
Kids,
control
yeah.
Is
of
it
it.
a public playground, or is it a playground
Right,
for
right.
school
Good,
kids?
yeah.
That
So
was a big
we'll,
difference.
we'll try to get some of those answers by bringing them in. The next two are the revolving funds. We're gonna hold off on those. And then the last three we have to deal with are, and we've made really good progress tonight, are the three petition articles. And I have information on one, and we can proceed with one tonight if you would like. The new climate policy bylaw, those folks are gonna be with us Thursday. So they're gonna call in, I've heard from two people from that group. So they will be contacting us Thursday, calling in on the agenda to talk about that one. I've also reached out to the plastic water bottle ban, which is number 40 on the list, and they have not gotten back to me at all yet. So I'll try reaching out again to them and find out. Hopefully, I told them that, on a message that we had 2 nights this week, and they were welcome to come to either one, but I'll check again with them. I sent you, the third one is rescind Article 50 from the May 6th annual town meeting. I sent you the backup information that the person requesting the article, had sent in, and I sent you Article 50 from the town meeting. And it basically banned the town, the municipality, from purchasing water. And this person is saying that now that that's been in place for a year, that it really discriminates against a lot of different groups, in her opinion. And she's looking to rescind that and go back to the town being able to buy water for these kind of events. It probably shows up a little bit more, and I'll say for the record that the department that I work in, the association buys the water, the town does not buy the water. Certainly, we use water, but it's purchased through the association.
Dana, doesn't this tie into the plastic bottle ban?
Right, so you have 2 articles before you this year. One is to rescind
Right.
the municipality being able to buy water in plastic bottles. And the other is to expand that law, as they said they wouldn't when they first narrowed it, to all of the businesses in town. And we'll talk to them when they come before us, but this one is to rescind the previous language.
Okay.
So we could take a position on this one. The person said that if she needed to come before us, she would, but thought that her explanation was clear. And I will say that the part that I like about it is her explanation is about Harwich. A lot of times we get into these general questions, which we're going to on climate change and so forth for the whole world. But I always try to relate it back to what does it mean to Harwich? And in this case here, the town is not able to buy water in plastic bottles, which means he has to pay more for water or put up dispensers everywhere, which a lot of people use and take advantage of, but we did at a cost have to put those up. And they always say these things are no charge, but it ends up costing money. And it certainly this year with the tornado, with the gasoline spill, with the microburst, with COVID, with all the things going on, having the most accessible way to buy water not available to the municipality, so that they have to buy it through, I know the unions buy water for the town, I know that the association buys water for the town, so, and for her reasons, all of those groups lose out on a potential revenue source, they lose out on being able to have purchase water for their activities.
Is what I'm Dana?
Yes.
You know, her explanation is wonderful. She's very clear, very concise. It is good. One, I think it's a little convoluted that you have the plastic water ban and the Rescind Article 50 back to back, because it's gonna confuse some of the voters of, you know, what am I voting for? And it is, it's because they're lumped together like that. It's gonna be an issue.
Yeah.
But also the fact that, you know, it's, okay, plastic bottles are bad. And I've sat here through how many meetings when people came up and they showed, oh, there's a normal typical day, and they had all these garbage bags full of plastic bottles here. Okay, it's a problem. But how do we get rid of them? How do we get rid of nip bottles? Okay? You charge for them.
Deposit.
You just deposits. You put a 10-cent deposit on them, they will no longer be thrown by the wayside.
Oh, they might,
You don't
but
see cans too much
they'll
on the
be picked
beach,
up.
okay?
No.
Because cans have a nickel deposit on them. So if you put a deposit on these plastics, see, it's a different approach that we should be attacking to get rid of this problem, and not just say you can't use them at all.
All right, so the one question I can answer is, why are they together on the warrant? And
Yeah.
that is through the Board of Selectmen, and we can mention that to them. I'll certainly mention that to them. If they want to move those around, they can. They might have done it purposely to discuss the entire
at the
broadening
same
of the
time.
thing, and then discuss narrowing it, which would be an interesting if one passed and one didn't. It would be kind of a strange thing, the other way around. In any event, do we want to take any action on this one tonight?
No, I'd say no.
I'd say,
No?
We want to wait. Do we want her to come before us? Or do we want to hear the other group first and then maybe decide both at once, or whatever?
We can hear the opposing. I like her explanation. She's very good at it. And again, all the disasters we've had, if you can't hand cases of plastic bottles out to the firemen, out to the rescue workers, for the tornado, for everything else, how are you gonna get it to them?
I mean,
Same way we always used to, Tom.
With water jugs?
Same way we always
Bring out
used
the water
to. So I
jug, let's go.
personally, I'm not a big fan of plastic bottles.
I'm not
and-
either.
And I grew up playing Little League, and they came with the plastic jug, and I played football, and they came with the plastic jug, and I did volunteer work, and they came with plastic jugs,
What
so.
do we do for our beaches?
that's,
I personally am not a fan of the deposit on these bottles. I personally prefer to see them banned. I do think that it's appropriate to take this up in a combined conversation, then you can address it at the right
Mm.
time.
okay.
But I have
I
my
know
own
that,
predisposition.
that when we grew up, those big jugs used to be a popular kind of thing, but in today's COVID world and so forth, we can't use that.
But in
And
today's-
we're looking ahead at a town meeting that's gonna be outdoors on a Saturday. And that discussion did come up during the walkthrough today as to making sure there's water available for people and having even a cooling tent and things like that, so. More to follow, we'll hold that one, and, but that's the last of the articles that we have to talk about tonight. We voted another group. We're more than halfway through the warrant now. I appreciate and really enjoy all the work that you guys are doing to keep up with this. This is great. We have more to come. We're starting to hone in on budgets next. But we made really good progress tonight, and we'll start getting the last few people in to see if we can take a few more votes next week to see if we can't get that. Now, I have, just to go first quickly through the reasons, I sent you all a copy of the reasons. I haven't heard back from anyone as far as editing or changing or anything like that.
Typos.
I had a couple of typos from John that was sent in. The program that I use does not allow me to spell check until I do it all at the end, but
Okay.
I will fix those. Did anybody try it on their own? Did anybody try writing some reasons?
No,
You're all brutally honest.
brutally, no.
I do recommend it as an exercise at some point. I will continue to write them. If those are acceptable, then those will be sent in. I try to send them in as we review them to the administrator's office, because they need to get a jump on that stuff as well. So, yes, Dan?
Just to clarify, Danny, when you asked whether any of us tried to write them on our own, did you want us to write them and send those comments to you?
You could. I just think it's a real, I mean, I'm not gonna be here forever. And,
You're my,
no. At the very least, after 18 years, you have to take a year off. After 9 years, I had to take a year off, and then 9 more years, you have to take a year off. So, moderator's probably gonna get tired of appointing me pretty soon, but, there's other complications, so, let's just say I'm not gonna be here forever, and people should learn how to do this and practice it, and, I think that,
because what I was thinking is that, for your consideration, you might want to pick out one or two and actually assign them to us and have us take a crack at it.
I think that's good for next year.
Angela likes that for next year.
Those who want to volunteer,
Okay, all right.
take on one or two.
Actually, because this year we really are crunched and have just a few meetings less, I figured I would do it. But I would certainly like to have a couple blind ones just sent to me, if you want to attempt it.
Yeah, all right.
Basically, I use what I've written in the past. A lot of articles repeat themselves. I try not to just put what's in the article as my reason for supporting this will buy a new fire truck for us, because we need a new fire truck. I usually try to put what the benefits of that are, as you saw, but certainly.
Because the concern that I had was, if I picked out one or two and I wrote it up, and somebody else picked out one or two and wrote it up, are we kind of
Duplicating
spinning our
efforts.
wheels, duplicating our efforts?
Well, what I would do, and I mean, it's good for you to do it, I think, but what I would do in those cases is see if it's, how different it is from mine, and try and incorporate 2 or 3 into it if I had to, but yeah, no.
All right.
I'll even give you a little sub-note that you helped write it if
You gonna grade us?
you, yeah, you can triple your salary. Carol, do you have anything for us?
Nothing.
We're proceeding along,
Yes.
making
Very nice.
progress.
Yes.
We're getting down to fewer articles. With that said, we have probably fewer to go through next week. Thursday, we will try to get that other petition article in. I'll try to get the other water people in. I'll try to have Sean from Facilities come talk to the group about, though, maybe he can make it Thursday, even by phone call or whatever.
And maybe Eric Beebe for the lights.
And Eric Beebe for all the lighting stuff. If I can get all those, either this Thursday, which is 2 days from now,
If you-
or next week,
Yeah.
we have 2 meetings scheduled.
I thi-
Finally, the last comment is, I have 2 meetings scheduled after the warrant goes to print each week, just not knowing how far we were going to be and how much we had to do. It looks like we're making good progress. Probably we will cancel at least every other one of those and maybe be down to 1 a week, and maybe not even need that many. But certainly we'll have a couple before town meeting. We have another 3 weeks to go before town meeting as we get winding through. So, And then, just figuring out the logistics, maybe, one of our meetings, we would, just post for, as a walk around of the new area and where we're gonna be and how it's gonna be set up. Might be a good thing to do. I have a couple ideas for us for that night. It's gonna be casual dress, it's gonna be the biggest benefit
Is it on the football field at the high school?
on the football field, yeah. Or at least that's what's.
Are the
yeah,
schools
this
planning
is-
to come in to talk with us, or we're just gonna take their numbers?
We have the text,
We've
we
been-
need
One more.
Yeah. They're voting Thursday. I've asked the Board of Selectmen to, or at least at the subcommittee level, we felt that that was not something that we should tackle at the subcommittee level. We thought the entire boards, both boards, should be chiming in with them after that if we have a problem or differences or whatever.
Okay.
So, hopefully before we go to print, we're having a joint meeting with them some night.
So our next meeting's the day after tomorrow, here.
Here, yep, same as we did tonight, but with, less and less work each time. So I thank you for all you've done.
No, it's
Really
good.
appreciate it. We'll keep chugging along. I'll keep trying to get information. Carol's still working as hard as she's working, and I have a recommendation for that too later that we'll talk about, but, very good. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned.
Good.